Hi students, good morning. Welcome to this video session. My name is Samuel Dominic Chukwu Emeka, aka Samdom for Peace. In this video session, we shall discuss functions. We shall discuss a function, and we shall give some examples why we use functions. Then we shall solve the problems in Codio for functions, and do the project on functions as well. So please, before you begin this video, it is highly recommended that you view the videos in order. So this is a playlist on my website. If you go to any of my websites, you click on technology and you click on Python. So under the videos tab is a playlist. It is important that you view the playlist in order. Very, very important. So it is my assumption that you know conditional statements, conditional expressions, loops, lists, dictionaries, all the things we've done prior to this video. It is my assumption that at least you have an idea of those. So let's pull up Notepad here where we will make our notes, and let's click. Well, like we said, we will now be using the Visual Studio Code for subsequent videos. So you can close this tip. This was the video we did when we explained the Visual Studio Code. So let's go ahead and close this, and we can open a new file, new file, and let's go ahead and save this file right away. Let's name it and save it. So we go to the extension .py Python, and let's name it functions 1. This will be our part 1 of functions. So let's just call it functions -1. It will be the first video on functions, our first video on functions. Function is a broad concept, so we are going to hopefully do more videos on it. So let's just name this or let's name it functions. Let's just name it functions, but we will know this is part 1. Okay, let's just name it functions.py. Okay, let's define a function. A function is a block of code. Is a block of code that perform a specific task, and in that block of code it accepts some inputs. It takes some input value, and then it processes those values, or some input data, or some variables. It takes some variables, input variables, I think it's better to say variables. It takes some input variables and processes it, then returns the result. So that's what a function is. It's just a block of code that performs a specific task. It takes some input variables, processes those, and returns a result. Yeah, or you can also say some input data. It processes the data and then returns the result. Okay, why do we use functions? Before I go into that, let us review what we did. Let's review what we did in previous videos. Okay, let's say we have an arithmetic operations on numbers. Let's say on two numbers, arithmetic operations on two numbers. Let's just review. Let me call this review because we did this earlier on. I want us to see why, the importance of using function and what a function is all about. Before we actually explain it, it is good we review some concepts from previous videos. So let's say first number integer input, please enter the first number. Okay, let's have some space there. Second number integer input, please enter the second number. Okay, we leave some space for entering it. Then let's look at add the numbers. This would be, let's say we have add numbers, let's call it add numbers, equal to first number plus, or let's say maybe, let's have it this way, let's make it nice, the sum of the two numbers is, let's have this like this, dot format, first number plus second number. Okay, let's test this first to see if it works. Then we just copy a lot, we save some time on the video. Let's test this first. Print add numbers. Okay, let's test this first. When you're writing codes, it's not write some test, before you continue. Yeah, we still have a lot of work to do, but let's test this to make sure it works first. Okay, debug, start debugging, Python file, debug the currently active Python file. Yes. Okay, looks like we have there's a problem here. Says there's a problem. Undefined variable. You see this now. This is one of the nice things about the Visual Studio Code. Tells you the problem when you click here. So I put in out instead of input. So I go here, I put input now. Okay, and let me just stop debugging. You stop debugging, stop, and let's do it again. Let's do it again. Okay, it doesn't show me any problems. Okay, that's fine. Okay, it says here, let me pull this up so you can see it. It says here, enter the first number. Let's enter like 3. Enter the second number, 4. Okay, it works. Okay, thank God it works. The sum of the two numbers is 7. All right, so this is what we're gonna do now. This works. I'm gonna bring this down, and I'll just copy this to save time. Copy this. We're gonna subtract, multiply, and divide. So we do subtract the numbers, and let's call this the variable here subtract numbers. The difference of the two numbers is this minus this. Then print subtract numbers. All right, then we multiplier, and let's call it multiply numbers. The product of the two numbers is this times this. Okay, print multiply numbers. Then the next one, the last one, is divide the numbers. Divide numbers. And we say the quotient of the two numbers is first number divided by second number. Print divide numbers. All right, let's run it. Now this here, you can just come here and you kill terminal. Just close, no, not kill terminal, I mean go to the debug console. Oh, the debug console gives you this, but you go to the terminal, you go to the debug console, it gives you this. You go to terminal, just delete, erase this. Yeah, that's how you do it. Just kill terminal to erase it. All right, we're going to run this. You come here, start debugging, debug this active file. Okay, it says here now, under the terminal, enter the first number. Let's use 2, 5. Okay, gives you the sum is 7. The difference of the two numbers is -3. Yeah, because 2 minus 5 is -3. You have 2, you owe 5, so you owe 3. Product is 2 times 5, 10, and quotient 2 divided by 5, 0.4. Okay, now we have done this. Imagine now I give you now to do work, add, subtract, multiply, and divide these integers. Okay, we use numbers, but these are actually integers, these are actually integers. Okay, let me teach you something on Visual Studio Code. As we do more videos, we will explore the properties. Of Visual Studio Code. So if somebody wants to just mess with you, the person might say, hey, these are actually integers. After all, you use the function here. Well, they call it class integer. Is actually a class. Yeah. Now if you have something like sum is the sum function. So please don't worry about what I said, class. Okay, we'll kind of, when we get to object-oriented programming, then we'll go into details on those. But these are just inbuilt classes in Python. Okay, somebody might say, hey, these are actually integers. Why don't you want to be specific? I mean, you're using numbers. Numbers includes floats. Numbers include fractions, decimals, prime numbers. Why are you not just specific and use integers? Okay, or maybe you have a working project and you need to change some instances of some words. So let's go ahead now. I want to teach you something. We're gonna go to edit and we click replace. We want to change all these numbers and we want to put integers instead. Integer. So let's find all instances for number. As you can see, it add the numbers. It didn't check the case. The number I want is lowercase, but it even highlighted uppercase. I don't want that. So you look here, this is match case. You look here, this is match whole word. I click match case. I want only match case. Only the instances where number occurred. See, it has now highlighted those actual instances. Then I want to replace it with integer. Okay, and even if it's numbers, that's fine. Like you have here the difference of the two numbers, it will now be integers. That's fine. And then if you point your mouse here, it says replace. I don't want to replace only one. I want to replace all of them. Replace all. So you click replace all, and it has replaced it. Okay, but I still need the number uppercase. I still want number uppercase because I want to remove number and just work with integer. So I use number uppercase, I use integer uppercase, and it has highlighted those instances. And you just say replace all. It's 13 of them, you see. And you can move down. If you want to replace any particular one, you can, keep moving down, to tell you this is the third instance, this is the fourth instance, this is the fifth occurrence, this is the sixth occurrence. Yeah, but I want to replace all. Yeah, so this helps a lot, especially if you make a mistake in your code and you want to, you had a variable and you want to replace that variable, or you want to replace all instances of where you made an error. This helps a lot on that. Okay, I close this. So this you not see number anymore. You now see integers. So let's say now you are given an assignment to add, subtract, multiply, and divide these integers. Number one, you have 2 and 5. Number 2, you have I know this is still programming, okay? What I'm doing, you will appreciate it. Just don't worry. -2 and 5. Number 3, you have 2 and -5. And then number 4, you have -2 and -5. So let me ask you, would you come and start using this code for each of them? Because that's what you're gonna do. You will come and you will keep on, like, you come, if you run this code now, if you run this, you can also run Python filing. You can just run this right away. If you don't want to debug, you can just go ahead and run. So if you run this now, for each of them, you have 2, 5. Then this is just for the first question. This is the first question, 2 and 5. Now you have to come, boy oh boy, you have to don't mind me saying boy oh boy. You now have to come, this is just for number one question. Okay, you have to come and run this again. Like you have to run this again for -2 and 5. You have to run this again for 2 and -5. Then you have to run this again for -2 and -5. 4 times. Can you imagine that? You do it 4 times. So this is the first one. You've done this for the first one. Okay. You now have to, now if you want, because we can delete this and we run it, we do it again for -2 and 5. We can delete this, clear it, and we do it again for -2 and 5. And it gives us that, okay, if you add -2 plus 5 is 3, -2 minus 5 is -7, -2 times 5 is -10, -2 divided by 5 is -0.4. Negative and minus is the same thing, okay? I'm a math teacher. Okay, so you will come and be doing it this way, or if you don't want to delete it, you know what, you now come and you copy this again. You copy this again, and you come and run it. But you're not going to use the same codes. You're going to be using, you will have to use, you have to change this. You can put first integer 1, first integer 1, add integers 1, print integers 1. You won't be using the same variable. You're going to change the variable. Okay? Otherwise, you'll get an error. You're repeating the same variables. Why? Why would you want to do that? Okay, so this is first integer 1, second integer 1, add integers 1. Yeah, I just rename the variables by just adding 1 to it. Okay, and then you run it. You run it. So the first one, 2, 5, you get that. Then the second one now, and if if you want, you can make a space, because some people will say, okay, we need to print new line. So you can just print new line. You can print a new line. You can add 3 new lines. Okay, we run it. So you can just have space between the first and the second. Okay, so you see you have enough space, 3 new lines, and you have 2 -5. Okay, and then you have to print like 3 new lines and reuse the code again and rename it again to get the other one. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if we come and do this again, we copy it, and what I'm going to do now is I replace all instances of 1, edit, replace all instances of 1. Oh, you know what? I have to select it. I have to select it. So let me close this. I can select just these ones that I did, and I replace all instances of 1 with 2. Okay, and I replace all. So this is now a new code. You see how long this, one is, and then we can do the last one. We can do the last one. Let's make this only one new line. Just let's make it only one new line, because 3 new lines is too much. Let's make it only 1 new line. Okay, so we have the last one now. And let's replace all the instances of 1 with 3. Edit, replace 1, replace it with 3. Replace all. Okay, close this. So you see how long this code is, just for these 4 questions. Just for these 4 questions, or this question 1. Just for these 4 questions, and you have all these 4 lines of 4 blocks of codes, just for these simple 4 questions. Can you imagine that? If we delete this here, clear it, and run this. Okay, this is the first one, 2 and 5. We have that. Second one is 2 and -5. We have that. Third one is -2 and 5. We have that. And the last one, -2, -5. We have that. Okay, folks, you see this, the result? And you see all this code. See that is a lot, just for these 4 simple questions. All right, now see what we're gonna do now. We'll come and we'll get all this here, all of it, and we will put a comment. Edit. Now I like using line comments, honestly. I like to use line comments. Block comment is for multiple lines. Some people prefer it, but I prefer line comment. So I've comment everything out. Okay, I've put comments in it. Actually, you know what? Let me free this space now. But you see how long this is. Okay. Or let me not put comment. Let me not put comment. So I'll just get it out. If you want to remove the comment that you had initially, just go to edit and just click on toggle line comment again. Now the ones that have been commented before will still be it. Okay, let me just cut this out. I'll cut it out. I'll cut all these. And I'll paste it here. Okay, let's go ahead and this is functions. These functions part 1. Functions part 1. Okay. Let me go ahead and save this. Save as is the text file. I don't want it on OneDrive. I don't. Let me put it where I have this. I'll put it here. I can just make a folder for it. Python programming language, and just put functions and just call it functions part 1. I mean, I know this is just a text file, so normally you know when there are good ways to save files, but it doesn't matter. This is just a text file. Okay, I've saved this and I'll leave it because I still add more things to it. Okay, so you saw the big lines of code. Call this functions part 1. You saw the big lines of code just to do this small simple calculation. We could make it so much easier for us if we use functions. You know, function is a block of code that will perform the same task, but it will be smaller lines of code. It's just like a code block. And of course, as you know, Python is a procedural language from top to bottom. Okay, we have to create a function that defines. We have to define, or the function definition or function declaration. Some people will say declare the function or define the function. So we'll create a function by defining it. Then we would write our code. You'll see how much more it will be. It won't be a lot. It will be more efficient. It's smaller lines of code. It will most times it will save memory on the computer, because you're not running so many things. You can just run it. You see, we'll just run this. After we do this, you see, we'll run everything and we run it only one time. You just watch how we do it, and then you will appreciate functions. You will appreciate it. So we define a function. We've talked about what function is. A function is a block of code that performs a specific task. It takes input variables and call it data, processes it, and returns an output. So you define a function by using the def. Okay, def keyword. Then you write the function name, provided it's not a reserved name. Function name, no reserved names. Okay, if you go to the Python library, I think some resources on Python, you'll see the reserved names you should not use. Okay, this is a function name, no space, no reserved names, and then no space, no spaces, and then you write the input variables or the input data, which is called the parameters. Okay, and then a semicolon. No, and a colon, not a semicolon, and a colon. That's how you define a function. So before I put this, I should put here the input variables are known as parameters. Yeah. Some people will call it argument. Okay. Some people will call it arguments. But you know, when you this is like the difference. If you say it's the same thing, that's fine. I will grade it right. But this is the difference. When you define or you say declare a function, the input variables are known as the parameters. But when you call the function, okay, the input values are known as arguments. Yeah, but some people will say it's the same thing. That's okay. Now let us see what we mean we'll come and say def. Def is the defining a function, and let's call this integer operations as the name of our function. Okay, that's the function name. We don't want reserved names and we don't want space. It's just the same rule for variable names applied to function names. The same rule for naming variables. So please review the videos we did, past videos we have done before this one. So the same rules for naming variables are the same rules for Python. For this is still Python. The same rules for naming variables are the same rules for naming function names. Function names. For naming functions. Okay, which means function names. All right. So we use the def keyword, then that's the def keyword, which is it defines the function, then the function name, then we have, you put a parenthesis, the parameters. If you say arguments, that's okay. If you say arguments, some people will say arguments, that's okay. But strictly, if we are strict about it, is the parameter. And these parameters are the two integers we want. First integer, comma, second integer. And then we use a colon. That is the way you define function. Okay, some people might ask me, okay, Mr. C, must you have anything as the parameter? You must not. You must not. If a function may or may not have parameters, yeah. But for what we are going to do, we must need those two parameters, their input values. Okay. Now, if you have a function that will say, hey, print your name whenever it calls your name, then it will not have, you don't need parameter. But for what we are doing now, we need the parameter, because the parameter are the two input values, input variables we use. We've defined those. The first input variable is the first integer, and the second input variable is the second integer. So what are we going to do with this? Okay, you see the indentation is very important in Python. We've talked about this before when we did loops. Indentation is very important. So we have this now. We will now, because let's use what we used here. We had add integers, subtract integer. We will not have all this add integer 1, add integer 2 like we did here for those 4 different code blocks for 4 different questions. You see, no, it's a lot of work. So we'll just do we'll do here, we've got the two parameters. Now it has taken the input variables. The next thing is to process it. Processing it is the formulas we are going to do. So we have add integers is first integer plus second integer. Subtract integers. Okay, and as you, in Python, once you assign something, you've declared it, so you don't need to come and start defining the variable. What defining the variable is just assigning something to it. We talked about this in previous videos. So subtract integer is first integer minus second integer. Multiply integers is first integer times second integer. divide integers is first integer divided by second integer. All right. Now, a function returns just one value. And I know some people will say, okay, how do you return all these? Yeah, because we need to return the sum, the difference, the product, and the quotient. A function returns only one value. Return. We use the return to return the result. We use the return keyword to return the result. Okay. So after you define it, you input it, you write the formula, which is the processing the variables, then you return the result. And we normally it returns only one value, but we have 4 values. We need 4. So we have done lists. The best thing is to do it as a list, okay, which is an array. So we can just return this, add integers, subtract integers, multiply integers, divide integers. Okay, so we have defined the function. We've done it. See, we've just done, we've defined this function. All right. Now the next thing we'll do is we can now call this function. That's the nice thing. We'll just call this function, and you see what I mean. Let's have this as result. Now you see the indentation. Look, after return is the last. Okay, I don't want to still do something after returning it under the function. No, so you see the indentation. So I just go back to the main. No indent. I don't want any indent. So let me call this result 1. We need 4 results. Okay, so let me call this result 1, and I will just call this function integer operations, and then I put in this argument now 2, 5. See that 2, 5, which is the first question. Okay, let me print it out. Print result. Or let me just, before I, should I print it first before? Let me just do everything and then I print the whole thing. Result 2, I call this result 2. I just call the function. I can calling the function is reusing. See, with a function, we can always reuse codes. So I have -2, 5. So this means that the first integer in this case is 2. For the first result, for the question 1, first integer is 2, second integer is 5. For question 2, first integer is -2, second integer is 5. For question 3, result 3 is, I call the function. This calling the function is just, you've defined it so you can always call it anytime. Okay, this is the 2, -5. And then the last result 4, integer operations. Integer operations, -2, -5. Now let me print it out. Let me go ahead and print it. Print result 1. Print result 2. Print result 3. Print result 4. All right, and I run it. See that? Bam! You see that? The whole thing right away. And just look at the block of code. This is the main guy here. This is the main code here. The main code. Check, just compare this with, well, some people will say, hey, finish it. Some people will say, okay, compare this now with this whole stuff that we did. See? So function number 1 makes it reusable. Makes code reusable. 2 simplifies the amount, the amount of code you write. It simplifies it. Number 3 makes the program run more efficiently and saves memory on the computer. Number 4, you can easily change this. Like if you make any mistake, when we are writing this whole thing, if we had made mistake and put here plus instead of minus, so you're gonna mess up on the first question. Probably not mess up on the second question, but it will mess up the first question because we are human beings. Only God does not make mistake. Human beings, we make mistake always. Only God does not make mistake. So you can make a mistake here and put plus, or you put any sign, maybe times, and you probably did the mistake only on this first question. You see, it's a problem. Now you have to go and start looking for where it is. Assuming you are working with a big, you're doing a big program that has a lot of codes, hundreds of lines of code, So, but with a function, we can easily fix it. You fix it, you always call it. And you can even make this, some people will say, okay, hey, this doesn't look neat. Or maybe, hey, this other one, you see the sum of the two integers is this. The difference of the two integers is this. Well, I tell you what, we can make this to look neat. We can. So we can do this here. We can do some work. We can do a little work here. We can do, let's see here. We can do some work to make this to look neat. We can say sum difference. Okay, we've done this before. This format with the curly brackets. We talked about it in previous videos. Product and then quotient. We can have this dot format, and we have add integers, subtract integers, multiply integers, and then divide integers. There you go. Yeah, dot format. So we can really make this to look neat. This will be much neater and much more specific now. Okay, see that sum difference product quotient makes it just simple. See the essence of functions, just this function, integer operations, and we call it anytime. Okay, we can do this for as many calculations as we want to. We can. Okay, and if we want to put in the question, we can also. Okay, so you have, if you want to put in the question and the answers, we also can do that. That's the nice thing about this. Okay, we are going to, at least you have an idea of functions. this is just part one. We are gonna do more parts, hopefully, by the grace of God. At least you have an idea of what functions are, what they are used for, why we use functions. We've talked about the reasons. Now we are going to look at let's do some problems on functions from your homework assignment, and then we also do the project on the ATM project. Okay, so we're gonna cut this here. And I'll just paste this. And like I've said in other videos, if you want this, if you're my student, then you know what you can do. You can email me, okay? All right. As usual, I know we are doing this in Codio, but I do it here first before I go to I like to do it on my own, just like we did with PyCharm. It's just that here we are using a Visual Studio Code. All right, so this is the one on functions, ready to go. Okay, so you can read this, you know, you are required to read it anyway. So go ahead and you know, later on you read it. I'm just gonna, because I've taken time to explain this, so I'll just go straight to questions. So this is the volume of a cylinder. So you can read this, no problem. I think this is basically what I explained, reusability of codes. Okay, with function, it makes you can reuse it rather than writing the whole code each time. So you can read those, you can run it, that's fine. You read those. So let's go to challenges. Create a function, generate string that takes two parameters. Character and value are the parameters. It returns a string with the value, number of characters concatenated together. So you have a string, and which is character is the string, and the value is the number. So you have a string and a number as the parameter, and if you have this, it will, the number concatenates the string that many times as the number. Okay, this is a string replication. So you know, Codio uses system files. We talked about this already, but I'm gonna write my own. So we're gonna do this. Define. Let me see if I can just copy this. Copy this. Paste it. And I'll just make it like this. Yeah. Okay. So we'll do define. To define the function generate string. How did it know that was what I was going to do? That's intelligence. Generate string. We have character, value, and you put the colon. Okay. We want to replicate. So let's say result, that's the variable we want to assign. Assigning it means defining it in Python. So that will replicate the character so number of times value. Okay, and then return result. Okay, but before I actually define this though, let's say we have character is input please enter a character, a letter, and let's have this on a new line. Can we? Let's put this on a new line. Okay, and then val is an integer, input please enter a value to replicate the character, enter a value to how many times you want, enter a value how many times, that shows how many times you want to replicate the character. And let's have this on a new line. Okay, so now we've defined the that's the first thing we should have done, okay, which we now did. Then you define the function, and then of course we want to print this out, return result. So we can now do under this function, we can say result1 is generate string character value. So you know what, folks, let's do this. We have this. I'm gonna copy this. Actually, we need to define it. Let's define it inside this function. That's much better. So we have this. I paste this, Control V, and this indentation matters. Okay. So we have the character value, and then we have the result, and then we just return result. Okay, now after returning the result, let's print the result. How about it? Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so you know why this is having a problem, because I've not called this. So see what we can do here. See what we can do. We can just come and say result1. You see, now did you notice what I did? I now no more indentation. This is the function. I'm done with it. Now let's call the function. I'm gonna say result1 generate string, and let me just pass in some arguments, arbitrary arguments. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. Let me just pass in some arbitrary arguments like A3, and I print result 1. Now, but let's look at the problems here. Like I said in previous videos, I'm a human being. We'll make mistakes, no problem. But please don't get frustrated. Okay. Now, it is normal to get frustrated, but please don't allow it to weigh you down. Do not. Okay. Let's look at the problem here. It says unreachable code, and the problem was because I put the print here. No. So now this is done. This is the function. Okay. Now I'm calling this function now with A and 3, just arbitrary values, arbitrary. And we'll use them A3. That's okay. But you can use any other values as well. You can, yeah. And then we print it. So let's run it. Let's run it. Yeah, it says A is not defined. Okay, that's okay. Let me just put 2. Let me put 2. That's okay. I'll put 2. Okay, I run it. Please enter a character. I know I said 2, but it doesn't matter. You can put A, enter this 3, and this is A. So it worked. Yeah. Okay, some people will say, but I didn't put what I said. Yes. Like the arguments is just, this is just placeholder. I'm gonna say now I'm gonna put this 2, 3 are the arguments, are the placeholders, You can just use what you want, because in the main function you still ask for user input. Okay, in the main function you ask for user input, so it must not be exactly 2 and 3. Okay, these are just placeholders. Some people might argue, okay, that, hey, why would you do that? If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to do that, this is another thing you can do. This is another thing we can do. If we don't want to think that, okay, let's use this as placeholders, we can come and say print generate string A3. Yeah, but then we put this as a string instead. We can put it as a string, and let's run it. Okay, enter a character A3. Yeah, so it still works. You see that? Yeah. Okay, it still works. Now, even with this here, if you don't want, we can actually remove that 2. If you think that 2 is confusing you, we can just put this as a string. I think that is the best thing to do. Yeah. And I'll just remove this comment here. Okay, and then print result 1. You can do that, or you can just go ahead and print the result. But you see how we call the function? We call the function, and then we just call the function. And once you call the function, it starts from here. It goes back here, because you call the function here, and then it looks for the character. It says please enter a character. Looks for the value, please enter a value, and it replicates it. See that? It returns the result. So we clear this and we run this here. Enter a character. We mustn't use A and 3. We must not. That's my explanation. You must not use this. A and 3 are just placeholders. A and 3 are just placeholders for the argument. Are the arguments, but they are the placeholders. They are placeholders. You can still put anything you want. Okay, you can still put anything you want. Like we can put D and 5. See that D. Okay. All right. So folks, let's now get this here on Now in Codio, we will not need to ask for this because the system file already does it. Okay, we just write result and call it, and call the function. So we'll just say result equal to sorry, we have to define the, I'm gonna copy this. I'm just gonna copy this now, at least to save time. I'll paste this. Generate string character value, that's what they want. Now I will just comment out this, or you can delete it. And this is the result. Return result. So result 1 will be generate string. They want us to use character count. That's what they want us to use. Character count. So character count as the arguments, and then return result 1, because this is system file with Codio. So check it. Yo, thank God it works. Yeah, it works. Please, I know I'm doing this as a student, this as student test, but in your final submission of codes, you now delete whatever that is not needed. Okay, but I have to put it here because I really want you. I don't want to do everything. I really want you to like do it on your own, and the main thing is to grasp it so you can now do it on your own. Okay, does it make sense? I hope it makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna copy this here. I'll actually cut it and paste it. Okay, Control S, save it. The next one, in this challenge, you'll be asked to find one string in the text of another string. Python provides a function to help with this called the find function that can be called on any string. So to find a string needle in another string haystack, needle in a haystack, use haystack.find, then needle, okay, parenthesis needle, which will return the position where needle was found, or -1 if it was not found at all. Yeah. So can I copy this? I know run find test. This is the run find test. But let me explain this to you. Okay, I'm gonna copy it and bring it to Visual Studio Code so I can explain it to you. Just run this. Okay, there's a problem. Needle location is not defined. Need location. Haystack.find needle. That should be needle, not need. See, this is a needle, but this is need needle. This is need needle location. So I think this is a mistake. Should only be needle location. So let me go ahead and remove this needle location. Clear this and run this. Okay, good. 4. As you can see here, you're trying to find a needle. Haystack.find needle in a haystack, and the needle is the DEF. So you start counting. Okay, it will return the position where you found the first one, the DEF, the position it finds it. So A is 0, B is 1, C is 2, space is 3, and then D is 4. So at the 4th position, it found that DEF. Okay, assuming I have this as DEF, GHI, JKL, and I'm trying to find JKL. So this is a 0, 1, 2. That's ABC 0, 1, 2 space 3. DEF 4, 5, 6 space 7. GHI 8, 9, 10 space 11, and then the J is 12. So we run it, we get 12 as the position. You see that 12th position, the JKL. So that's the way it works. And then if it couldn't find chicken, it didn't find chicken, so it would return -1. So that is just that's a function dot find. If you look at it here, you see it's a function. You see it's the def. In the Visual Studio Code, if you point your mouse on the function, it gives you more explanation about that. Okay, so the def, that's the function. It returns the lowest index in S, where substring sub is found, such that sub is contained within S, start to end. Optional arguments start and end. Optional arguments start and end are interpreted as in slice notation. Then it will return -1 on failure. See that? It tells you that. Okay, so what do they want us to do? Write a function isRead. So let's copy this here. Copy it and write it here. So let's comment this out. Let's comment it. Let's comment it. Edit, toggle line comment. Okay. And I'll comment this also. This is the work they want us to do. Write a function isRead that accepts a string parameter and looks for the presence of the word read in the string. If it is found, return Boolean true, otherwise false. Finally, output the result of calling the function with the value in read, with the value in text. Okay, let's clear this. The function isRead, so def isRead, it accepts a string parameter. String is not a keyword, so let me just put string. Now if you're looking for keywords, if you type it, you'll see. Okay, it's not a reserved word. As you're typing something in Visual Studio Code, I mean, there are resources that have reserved words, but also you can, as you're typing something, if you don't see, like if I type string, I don't see that string. Okay, I know I can use it, string, because I don't see it. See, so okay, then I put that's the parameter. Okay, I put the colon. Then it says it looks for the presence of the word read in the string. So if it is found, return Boolean. Okay, so we can say word equal to read. Then what we need is this we can use we have a loop here. We have a sorry, not loop. We have a condition here. It looks for it if it's found. So we can write the word location just like they give us in the example, and we have string dot find red. Okay, we need to find red. Okay, we can just have word location. We can comment this out, word equal to red. We actually don't need it. We can just say word location string dot find red, because we want to find when we pass this string, we're looking for red. And if we find it, okay, if word location is found, so that means if it's not equal to -1, okay, this is a conditional statement. So we're gonna put this in parentheses. So if word location not equal to -1, because if it is not found, then it will return -1. But if it is found, it will return the position where it finds red. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do here? I will not comment this out. I'll put it, and I'll just put word here. How about it? Word equal to red, because they're looking for the word red, just like we have here JKL. So word is red, okay, just like we have here NATO JKL. So word location is string dot find that word which is red. If word location is found, which means if it's not equal to -1, and with conditional statement you put the colon. So what should be done? Return boolean true. So return true is a boolean. Okay, otherwise return false. So we have to use elif, else if, which is elif, we put the colon. Okay, we've done conditional statements. Return false, elif return false. Okay, then finally output the result of calling the function with the value. So finally output the result. So return, you see where the indentation, I wouldn't have to leave this indentation here. Okay, I will put it here. Return word location. Okay, but we need to say what is the string though. After we get this, we need to say the string is input please enter a string. Okay, please enter a string. Okay folks, let's then we need to call this, we call it, we can say result equal to is red. We call it is red we just use anything. We can use love, LOVEYOU, and then we print result. Okay, but it doesn't matter because I asked for input here. It doesn't matter. Okay, I asked for input here. It doesn't matter. Now, if I didn't ask for input here, then it will return false because red is not in love. Let's do that and see what I mean. Okay. Leaf. Syntax error. Okay, let me put a condition here. What location equal to -1, and I write the colon. Yeah. Okay, you don't just write the elif. Okay, and I write this. Let me run this. Let me close this first. Equal, because if you, I need the terminal, show terminal. I need this terminal, view, terminal. Yeah, I need this terminal. I closed it and I want it back, so that's, I went to view and brought it. Okay, the problem here is invalid syntax. Yeah, because this is if you point your mouse here, it says invalid syntax because this is an assignment statement, but we're looking at equal to, so it should be equal. So let's run it. We run it, there's no problems here, so it returned false. Yeah, because look, there is no red in false, you see that. But then if I ask for the user input, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If I ask for the user input in the function, it doesn't matter what my argument is. It does not matter. Okay, so let's clear this and do it here. It will ask for enter a string. Oh, you know what? I should have a new line. Let me put a new line. So let me close this and run it again. Yeah. If we enter a string, favor, okay, yeah, it doesn't see red in favor, so it returned false. So it works. Let's try another one. Enter a string, enter which one has red now? Bread. Let's say bread. Okay, yes, true. You see, it returned true. Now the word location, where, yeah, it can only return one value. It can only return one value. Now, but if we want, we can see if we can put this as a list. But anyway, let's, because we have other things to do, at least it returned true, which shows yes, that it found it. We can actually, you know what, we can, let's see here, we can return word location here before we write the conditional statement. So let's do, we are doing more than probably Codio wants, but it's for you to learn it. The main thing is for you to learn it. Okay, so and I'm looking for another word, but let's still go with bread. So it returned only one value, only one value, only one value. That's the thing with functions. So as you can see, B is 0 and arrow, for the red, arrow is 1. So it returned it. Okay. It returned one value. If we won, we could see whether we could put it as a list, but I don't want to go there. Let's just run this in code. I think that is what they won, but I think we could also, just like we did in the beginning example, to put it as a list to return if we want more than one value. Normally function will return one value, but if you want several values, then it's good to use a list. You return it as an array list. So you see one of the importance of the list. We did lists. Okay, so folks, let's copy this. Let's run this again before we copy it to make sure there's no problem. Bread. Okay. Let's copy this and then we modify it in Codeon. So we copy it, we come here, we paste it. Here they want us to each red accepts the string, looks for the presence of the word red in the string. So I'm just gonna comment this one out, the string. I'll comment it, I'll put a comment because they will pass the text. Codeon takes care of it. So I'll comment this out. What is red? What location find red? Okay. So let's test this. Let's check it. Program failed for input red. Okay, let's put this is red for the text. Program failed for input red. What location is this? This is red. Find this in Word. Should I remove this string and put it? There you go. Oh, so it just, because the text, Codeon works with system files. So I had to, I know with mine, I put this as string. If I didn't put this as string, it will not work. Yeah, but Codeon works with system files. So it's read in the text, and there you go. Okay. Thank God this one is done. All right. We've completed this. Please, watch out for functions part 2. We will do more work. I hope you understood this. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. And you have a good day.